In a quiet corner of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of Earth's familiar skies, something unusual was happening. The planet Proxima Centauri b, once thought to be nothing more than a barren rock orbiting a dim star, had become humanity's first real foothold in the universe. It wasn't much, a few domed habitats, mining equipment scattered across the surface, and a small team of scientists and soldiers, but it represented hope. Hope that humanity could stretch its arms out into space, find new resources, and perhaps even meet others who called this vast universe home. Commander Alex Carter stood on the edge of one of the colony's observation decks, staring out at the alien landscape. The air outside was too thin to breathe without assistance, and the ground was covered in shades of gray and brown, broken only by jagged rocks and patches of frost. Still, there was beauty in it, a kind of desolate charm that reminded him how small humanity really was in the grand scheme of things. Beside him, Dr. Lisa Monroe adjusted her glasses as she studied a tablet displaying data from the latest geological survey. "We're lucky," Lisa said, breaking the silence. Her voice carried a hint of pride but also caution. This place could have been completely hostile. No water, no minerals worth extracting, just another dead end. Alex nodded slowly. "Luck doesn't last forever," he replied. His tone was calm, but there was an edge to it. He'd seen enough in his career to know that luck often ran out when you least expected it, and being so far from Earth meant help wouldn't come quickly if trouble arrived. Trouble, however, seemed unlikely. For months now, the colony had operated smoothly. The miners dug up valuable metals, the scientists conducted experiments, and the security team kept watch over everything. There were no signs of intelligent life nearby, no strange signals or unexplained phenomena. Just emptiness, stretching endlessly in every direction. But not everyone shared Alex's cautious optimism. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks, a young officer with sharp eyes and a restless energy, paced back and forth near the colony's perimeter. Ryan didn't trust the quiet. In his experience, silence usually meant something was lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. He adjusted the strap of his rifle and scanned the horizon through binoculars, searching for anything unusual. "Anything interesting?" asked Sarah Meyer, one of the colony's engineers, as she walked up beside him. She held a clipboard, tucked under her arm, her blonde hair tied back in a loose ponytail. Ryan lowered the binoculars and shook his head. "Not yet. But I don't like it. Feels wrong." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Wrong? Like what? Aliens hiding behind those rocks?" Ryan smirked but didn't laugh. "Maybe. Or maybe we're just sitting ducks out here. Either way, I'd feel better if we had more defenses." Sarah sighed. "You sound like Commander Carter, always expecting the worst." "That's because the worst has a way of finding us," Ryan muttered, raising the binoculars again. As the sun dipped below, the horizon casting long shadows across the colony, a faint hum filled the air. At first, no one noticed it. The sound was subtle, almost blending into the background noise of machinery and wind. But then it grew louder, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. Workers paused mid-task, looking around in confusion. Even inside the habitat domes, people stopped what they were doing to listen. "What is that?" Lisa asked, stepping away from her tablet. She exchanged a worried glance with Alex. "I don't know," Alex admitted, "but it's not coming from any of our equipment." The hum intensified, becoming a low drone that made teeth chatter and skin prickle. Ryan sprinted toward the source, his rifle slung over his shoulder. As he reached the edge of the colony, he froze. Hovering about 50 feet above the ground was a sleek metallic object shaped like a teardrop. Its surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the dim light of the distant star. Tiny lights blinked along its edges, pulsing in rhythm with the sound. "Commander!" Ryan shouted into his radio. "We've got something here. Something big." Within moments, Alex and Lisa joined him, followed by a group of armed soldiers. Everyone stared up at the object, unsure of what to do next. Was it a probe? A ship? A weapon? None of them had ever seen anything like it. "It's not human," Lisa whispered, her voice trembling slightly. She clutched her tablet tightly, as if it might offer some comfort. "Definitely not human," Before anyone could respond, the object emitted a beam of light that struck the ground near the colony's power generator. Sparks flew and alarms blared as systems began to shut down. Panic spread quickly among the colonists who scrambled to take cover. "Stay calm," Alex barked, raising his voice to be heard over the chaos. "Brooks, get everyone inside the domes. Lisa, see if you can figure out what that thing is doing." Ryan nodded and started ushering people towards safety, while Lisa crouched beside the damaged generator, typing furiously on her tablet. The alien object hovered silently, its light still blinking steadily. Then, without warning, it projected a holographic image into the air. The image showed rows of symbols that none of them recognized, accompanied by a deep mechanical voice speaking in a language they couldn't understand. For several tense minutes, the object continued broadcasting its message. Finally, after repeating the sequence multiple times, it stopped. The hum faded and the object began to rise higher into the sky. Before anyone could react, it shot upward at incredible speed, disappearing into the atmosphere within seconds. Silence fell over the colony. Everyone looked at each other, wide-eyed and shaken. "Well," Lisa said after a moment, standing up and brushing dust off her hands. "That was unexpected." "What did it say?" Alex demanded, turning to her. "Did you catch anything?" Lisa hesitated. "It's hard to tell. Most of it was gibberish, but I think I caught part of it." She frowned, replaying the recording on her tablet. After a few seconds, she looked up, her expression grim. "The last phrase it said, it sounded like a warning." "A warning?" Ryan echoed, lowering his rifle slightly. "What kind of warning?" Lisa swallowed before answering. "Do not assault the humans. They will never let you go." "No." One spoke for a long time. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Whoever or whatever had sent that message clearly knew about humanity. And judging by the tone of the warning, they weren't impressed. Alex rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. "Okay," he said finally, his voice firm despite the unease building inside him. "We need to report this to Earth immediately. Whatever just happened, it's bigger than us." As the colonists worked to repair the damage and restore power, one thing became clear. Their presence in space had not gone unnoticed. Somewhere out there, someone or something was watching, and whether friend or foe, humanity's journey into the stars had just taken a turn none of them could have anticipated. The colony on Proxima Centauri BA buzzed with nervous energy in the days following the mysterious encounter. The alien object had vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving behind more questions than answers. Commander Alex Carter called an emergency, meeting in the colony's main dome to discuss what had happened and decide their next steps. Around the table sat Lieutenant Ryan Brooks, Dr. Lisa Monroe, Sarah Meyer, and a few other key members of the team. Everyone looked tired but alert, their faces reflecting the weight of the situation. "Let's start with what we know," Alex said, leaning forward on the table. His voice was calm, but there was no mistaking the tension in his tone. "We saw an unidentified object hovering near the colony. It disabled part of our power grid and broadcasted a message before leaving." Lisa nodded, holding up her tablet. "I've been analyzing the recording. The symbols are unlike anything in our databases, but I managed to isolate parts of the audio. The phrase, 'Do not assault the humans. They will never let you go,' repeats multiple times. Based on context, it seems like a warning." "A warning for who?" Sarah asked, crossing her arms. "Us? Or someone else?" "That's the question," Alex replied. "If it's meant for us, then whoever sent it knows about humanity and our presence here. If it's meant for someone else, well, that means there's another species out there that might view us as a threat or a target." Ryan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Either way, we're sitting ducks. Our defenses aren't ready for any kind of attack. We need reinforcements, and fast," Alex sighed. "Earth is months away from responding, even if they send help immediately. Until then, we're on our own." The room fell silent for a moment as everyone absorbed the reality of their isolation. They were pioneers, yes, but now they felt more like prey. Over the next few days, the colony worked tirelessly to prepare for the worst. Soldiers conducted drills, fortifying the perimeter with makeshift barriers and setting up additional surveillance equipment. Scientists analyzed every scrap of data collected during the encounter, hoping to learn more about the alien technology. Meanwhile, ordinary colonists went about their daily routines, though whispers of fear rippled through conversations. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ryan stood guard near the edge of the colony. He scanned the dark landscape with binoculars, trying to shake the feeling that something, or someone, was watching them. The memory of the alien object lingered in his mind, its shimmering surface and pulsing lights etched into his thoughts. "You look like you haven't slept in days," Sarah said, walking up beside him. She carried a thermos of coffee and offered him a cup. "Thanks," Ryan muttered, accepting it. "Can't sleep when I feel like trouble's waiting just out of sight." Sarah smiled faintly. "You think whatever sent that thing will come back?" "I don't know," Ryan admitted. "But I do know one thing. If they do come back, we better be ready." As the night wore on, strange readings began to appear on the colony's sensors. At first, they seemed random, blips of energy flickering in and out of detection. But soon, the readings grew stronger and more consistent. By morning, it became clear that something was approaching. Commander Carter gathered the team again, this time with urgency in his voice. "Our sensors picked up movement last night. Whatever it is, it's big and it's heading straight for us." Lisa frowned, studying the data displayed on her tablet. "It's moving too fast to be natural. This has to be artificial." Ryan clenched his fists. "So much for being ready. What's the plan?" "We hold our ground," Alex said firmly. "We can't run, and we can't hide. If this is an attack, we'll defend ourselves. If it's something else, we'll deal with it." By midday, the object came into view. Unlike the sleek teardrop-shaped craft they'd seen before, this new arrival was massive. A towering ship bristling with weapons and glowing with ominous red lights. It hovered above the colony, casting long shadows across the barren terrain. The sheer size of it made the domes below seem tiny and fragile. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. The ship simply loomed overhead, its engines humming softly. Then a booming voice echoed across the colony, amplified by some kind of advanced speaker system. It spoke in English, clear and cold. "This is General Vrax of the Krylos Empire. You have trespassed on territory claimed by my people. Surrender your resources and evacuate this planet within 24 hours or face annihilation." The words hit like a punch to the gut. Everyone froze, staring at the ship in disbelief. Humanity's first contact with an alien species wasn't a handshake or a peaceful exchange. It was a threat. "Well," Sarah said dryly, breaking the stunned silence, "that could have gone better." Alex turned to Lisa. "Did you catch all of that? Did he say Krylos?" She nodded, typing furiously on her tablet. "Yes. And based on the structure of the language, it matches patterns from the message we received earlier. Whoever warned us, it must have been about these guys." Ryan gripped his rifle tightly. "Great. So someone tipped us off that these jerks were coming, but they didn't tell us how to stop them." Alex ignored the comment, focusing instead on the task at hand. "We don't have time to panic. Brooks, get everyone inside the domes and seal the entrances. Lisa, keep working on those readings. See if you can find any weaknesses in their tech. We need options." As the colonists scrambled to safety, the scientists worked around the clock to analyze the Krylos ship. Lisa discovered that its energy signature matched the probe they'd encountered earlier, confirming it was the same species. More importantly, she noticed fluctuations in the ship's shielding, a potential vulnerability. "If we can disrupt their shields," she explained, to Alex and Ryan, "we might stand a chance. But we'll need something powerful enough to punch through." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Like what? We're not exactly armed to the teeth out here." Lisa hesitated. "There's the EMP weapon. It's still experimental, but it might work." The EMP weapon had been developed as a last resort defense against hostile forces. Designed to emit a powerful electromagnetic pulse, it could disable electronics over a wide area, but using it risked damaging the colony's own systems. "It's risky," Alex said after a moment of thought. "But if it gives us a fighting, Chance, we have to try. As the deadline approached, the atmosphere in the colony grew heavier with each passing hour. Soldiers manned the barricades while civilians huddled together in the domes, praying for survival. Outside, the Krylos ship remained ominously still, a constant reminder of the danger looming above. In the control room, Alex addressed the team one final time. This is it. When we activate the EMP, it'll either save us or make things worse. Either way, we fight to the end, no surrender. Ryan nodded, his expression grim but determined. Understood. Let's show them why humanity doesn't back down. With seconds to spare, Lisa initiated the EMP sequence. A blinding flash of light erupted from the colony, followed by a deafening crackle of energy. For a moment, everything went dark. The lights, the sensors, even the hum of machinery. Then, slowly, power returned. Outside, the Krylos ship listed slightly, its once impenetrable shields flickering and fading. Cheers erupted inside the domes as the colonists realized their gamble had paid off. For now. But the battle was far from over. From the damaged ship, smaller vessels began descending toward the surface, carrying swarms of insect-like drones equipped with razor-sharp claws and glowing eyes. The Krylos weren't done yet, and humanity's resolve would soon be tested like never before. As the first wave of attackers hit the colony's defenses, Ryan fired his rifle, determination burning in his chest. Whatever came next, one thing was certain. Humanity wouldn't go down without a fight. The air outside the colony was thick with tension as the Krylos drones swarmed toward the human defenses. Their insect-like bodies glinted under the dim light of Proxima Centauri, their movements sharp and precise. Each drone buzzed with a low hum that sent shivers down the spines of the colonists hiding inside the domes. The EMP had weakened the Krylos ship's shields, but it hadn't stopped them entirely. Now the aliens were fighting back, and they weren't holding back. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks crouched behind a makeshift barricade, his rifle aimed at the advancing swarm. Sweat dripped down his face as he fired shot after shot, each bullet striking one of the drones with a satisfying crunch of metal and sparks. Beside him, Sarah Meyer reloaded her weapon with trembling hands. She wasn't a soldier by training, but desperation had turned her into one overnight. "They just keep coming," Sarah shouted over the chaos, her voice shaking. "How many are there?" Ryan didn't answer. He couldn't afford to take his eyes off the battlefield. The drones moved in waves, their glowing eyes scanning for targets. Every time one fell, two more seemed to take its place. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and running out of time. Inside the control room, Commander Alex Carter watched the battle unfold on the colony's security cameras. His jaw was clenched tight, his fists gripping the edge of the table, so hard his knuckles turned white. Dr. Lisa Monroe stood beside him, her tablet flashing with updates from the sensors. Her expression was calm, but her hands betrayed her nerves. They trembled slightly as she typed commands. "We're losing ground," Alex said finally, breaking the silence. "If we don't do something soon, they'll breach the perimeter." Lisa nodded, her mind racing. There has to be a way to exploit their weakness. The EMP disrupted their coordination earlier. Maybe we can amplify that effect. Alex frowned. "You mean target their communication systems?" "Exactly," Lisa replied. "From what I've analyzed, the Krylos operate using a hive mind network. If we can jam or overload that connection, their entire force could collapse." Alex hesitated for only a moment before making a decision. "Do it. Whatever you need, make it happen." While the soldiers fought tooth and nail to hold the line, Lisa worked frantically to modify the colony's communication array. The equipment wasn't designed for this kind of task, but necessity forced creativity. With Sarah's help, she rerouted power from non-essential systems and adjusted frequencies to match the pattern she'd observed in the Krylos signals. "It's not perfect," Lisa admitted as she double-checked her calculations. "But if we flood their network with interference, it should confuse them long enough for us to regroup." Sarah nodded, though her fear was evident. "Just tell me when to flip the switch." Outside, the situation was growing dire. The drones had breached the outer barriers and were closing in on the domes. Ryan and the other soldiers formed a defensive line, firing relentlessly to keep the attackers at bay. But ammunition was running low, and exhaustion was setting in. "Commander," Ryan's voice crackled over the radio. "We can't hold them much longer." Alex gripped the microphone tightly. "Hold on, Brooks. We're almost ready." Seconds felt like hours as Lisa finished her adjustments. Finally, she gave Sarah a thumbs up. "Now," Sarah flipped the switch, and the colony's communication array roared to life. A high-pitched whine filled the air, followed by a burst of static that echoed across the battlefield. The effect was immediate. The Krylos drones froze mid-motion, their glowing eyes flickering erratically. Some collided with each other while others simply dropped to the ground lifeless. "What did you do?" Alex asked, staring at the monitors in disbelief. "I overloaded their neural link," Lisa explained, relief washing over her face. "Without coordination, they're disoriented. It won't last forever, but it buys us time." Ryan let out a whoop of triumph as he saw the drones falter. "That's it. Keep it up." With their attackers temporarily disabled, the humans seized the opportunity to push back. Soldiers regrouped and launched counterattacks, destroying the remaining drones before they could recover. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered in the hearts of the colonists. But the victory came at a cost. The colony's defenses were in shambles and casualties mounted. Inside the medical bay, doctors worked tirelessly to treat the wounded, their faces pale with fatigue. Among them was Dr. Emily Ross, a soft-spoken woman with steady hands and a fierce determination to save lives. "We're running low on supplies," Emily told Alex as he entered the bay to check on the injured. "If this keeps up, we won't have enough medicine to treat everyone." Alex nodded grimly. "We'll figure something out. In the meantime, patch up whoever you can. We need every able body we can get." As night fell, the survivors gathered in the main dome to assess the damage. The mood was somber but resolute. They had survived the initial assault, but everyone knew the Krylos wouldn't give up so easily. Somewhere above them, the massive alien ship still loomed, its presence a constant reminder of the threat they faced. "We hit them hard," Ryan said during the debriefing, addressing the group. "But they'll come back stronger next time." "We need a plan," Alex agreed. "We've shown them we're not an easy target, but we can't rely on tricks alone. We need to find a way to end this for good." Lisa raised her hand hesitantly. "I might have an idea." All eyes turned to her. "When I analyzed the Krylos ship earlier, I noticed something unusual about its core energy signature. It's concentrated in one specific area, likely their command center. If we can disable that, we might cripple their entire operation." Ryan frowned. "How do we even get close to their ship? It's floating miles above us." Lisa hesitated before answering. "We use salvaged parts from the drones. Their technology is advanced, but we can adapt it. If we retrofit our fighters with Krylos weapons, we might stand a chance." The room fell silent as everyone considered the proposal. It was risky, untested, and required skills they barely possessed. But it was also their best shot at survival. "Let's do it," Alex said finally, his voice firm. "Gather whatever resources we have left and start working. Time isn't on our side." Over the next several hours, the colony transformed into a hive of activity. Engineers, scientists, and even ordinary colonists pitched in to salvage and repurpose parts from the destroyed drones. Under Lisa's guidance, they modified the colony's small fleet of fighter ships, equipping them with alien plasma cannons and reinforced shielding. The process was grueling, but the sense of purpose kept everyone going. Ryan volunteered to lead the mission, knowing full well the odds were against them. "If anyone's going to fly those things, it should be me," he said when Alex tried to argue. "I've got the most combat experience." Alex relented reluctantly. "Fine, but you're taking a team with you. No lone wolf heroics." By dawn, the preparations were complete. 5 retrofitted fighters stood ready on the makeshift runway, their sleek designs now bristling with alien weaponry. Ryan climbed into the cockpit of the lead ship, flanked by 3 other pilots, all volunteers who refused to sit idly by while their home was threatened. As the engines roared to life, Alex addressed the team over the comms. "This is it. Show, then why humanity doesn't go down without a fight. With that, the fighters launched into the sky, their thrusters blazing trails of fire against the pale horizon. Above them, the Krylos ship loomed larger than ever, its surface bristling with turrets and defensive systems. The battle ahead would be brutal, but the humans had one advantage: sheer determination. As the first shots rang out, lighting up the heavens with bursts of plasma and flame, the message sent days earlier echoed in everyone's minds. Do not assault the humans. They will never let you go. The Krylos were about to learn just how true those words really were. The 5 retrofitted fighters streaked upward, their engines roaring as they climbed toward the massive Krylos ship. The alien vessel loomed ahead like a mountain of steel and light, its surface dotted with glowing panels and weapon turrets that swiveled to track the approaching humans. Ryan Brooks gripped the controls of his fighter tightly, his knuckles white from the strain. His heart pounded in his chest, but his focus was razor sharp. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about proving something. Stay close, Ryan said over the comms, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. We hit them hard and fast. No hesitation. Behind him, the other pilots acknowledged his orders, their voices calm but tinged with nervous energy. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but none of them had backed down when the call for volunteers went out. These weren't soldiers by training. They were miners, engineers, and scientists who had chosen to fight because they had no other choice. Now they were humanity's last hope. As the fighters closed in on the Krylos ship, its defenses sprang to life. Plasma bolts screamed through the air, forcing the pilots to weave and dodge in a deadly dance. One bolt clipped the wing of a fighter, piloted by Jake Miller, sending sparks flying and causing the ship to veer off course. Jake cursed under his breath but managed to stabilize his craft, gritting his teeth as he rejoined the formation. "Miller, you okay?" Ryan asked sharply. "I'm fine," Jake replied, though his voice betrayed his fear. "Let's keep moving." Lisa, Monroe watched the battle unfold from the colony's control room, her eyes glued to the monitors displaying live footage from the fighters' cameras. Her hands hovered over the keyboard, ready to assist if needed. Beside her, Commander Alex. Carter stood with his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. He wanted to be out there with them, but someone had to stay behind and coordinate the effort. "They're getting closer," Lisa said, her voice tight with tension. "If they can breach the outer defenses, they might have a shot at reaching the core." Alex nodded. "They'll make it, they have to." The Krylos ship was a fortress in space, designed to withstand even the most determined attacks. Its outer hull bristled with weapons, and automated drones patrolled the area like angry hornets. But the human fighters had one advantage. Their ships were armed with salvaged Krylos technology. When Ryan fired the first plasma cannon, the effect was devastating. A bolt of green energy tore through the air, striking one of the ship's turrets and obliterating it in an explosion of sparks and debris. "Yes!" Ryan shouted, a grin spreading across his face. "It works." Encouraged by the success, the other pilots followed suit, unleashing a barrage of plasma fire that crippled several more turrets. For a brief moment, it seemed like the humans might actually break through the Krylos defenses. But then, the alien ship retaliated with overwhelming force. A swarm of smaller drone ships emerged from hidden launch bays, surrounding the human fighters and cutting off their escape routes. The drones moved with terrifying speed and precision, firing beams of energy that forced the pilots into evasive maneuvers. Ryan's ship rocked violently as a blast grazed his cockpit, shattering part of the canopy and exposing him to the icy vacuum of space. He quickly sealed the breach with an emergency patch, but the damage slowed him down. "We're pinned," Jake yelled over the comms. "There are too many of them." Ryan clenched his jaw, scanning the battlefield for a way out. Then he spotted a narrow gap between two of the larger turrets where the Krylos defenses seemed weaker. It was risky, but it was their only chance. "Follow me," Ryan ordered, banking his ship sharply toward the opening. The other pilots hesitated for a split second before following, their fighters weaving through a hailstorm of plasma fire. One by one, they slipped through the gap, emerging on the other side battered but alive. "Good work, everyone," Ryan said, breathing a sigh of relief. "Now let's finish this." Inside the Krylos ship, General Vrax watched the battle unfold with growing frustration. The humans were proving to be far more resilient than he had anticipated. Their primitive technology should have been no match for the Krylos Empire, yet here they were, breaching his ship's defenses and threatening to destroy its core. This cannot continue, Vrax growled, his mandibles clicking in anger. Deploy all remaining forces. I want those fighters eliminated immediately. His subordinates scrambled to obey, redirecting every available drone and turret to intercept the intruders. But the humans had already reached their target. Using data provided by Lisa, Ryan led the team to a vulnerable section of the ship's hull, a maintenance hatch that granted access to the interior. All right, listen up, Ryan said, as the fighters hovered near the hatch. Once we're inside, we'll split into 2 teams. My group will head for the core while yours creates a distraction. Keep them busy as long as you can. The pilots nodded, understanding the risks involved. Breaking into the Krylos ship was suicide, but none of them hesitated. They had come too far to turn back now. One by one, the pilots ejected from their fighters, using magnetic boots to secure themselves to the ship's surface. With tools salvaged from the colony, they pried open the hatch and slipped inside. The interior of the Krylos ship was a maze of dimly lit corridors and strange machinery, pulsing with faint green light. The air smelled metallic and acrid, and the walls hummed with energy. Ryan led his team deeper into the ship, guided by Lisa's directions. Along the way, they encountered Krylos drones and security systems, but the element of surprise worked, in their favor. Using stolen weapons and improvised tactics, they fought their way past the obstacles, inching closer to the core. Meanwhile, the second team created chaos elsewhere in the ship, drawing enemy forces away from Ryan's group. Explosions echoed through the corridors as they sabotaged power conduits and destroyed critical systems. Their efforts bought Ryan valuable time, but not enough. As Ryan and his team finally reached the core chamber, they found themselves face to face with General Vrax himself. The alien commander stood tall and imposing, his exoskeleton gleaming menacingly in the low light. Behind him, the core pulsed with raw energy, a swirling mass of light and heat that powered the entire ship. You dare trespass here? Vrax snarled, raising a clawed hand. You will regret this. Ryan didn't respond. Instead, he raised his weapon and fired, signaling the start of the final confrontation. The chamber erupted into chaos as the humans clashed with Krylos guards, their movements fueled by adrenaline and desperation. Ryan focused solely on Vrax, dodging the aliens' attacks while searching for a weakness. Take out the core, Ryan shouted to his team. I'll hold him off. The others nodded and began planting explosives around the chamber, working quickly despite the danger. Vrax lunged at Ryan, his claws slicing through the air with deadly precision. Ryan barely avoided the strikes, countering with bursts of plasma fire that singed the alien's armor but failed to penetrate it. You cannot win. Vrax sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. Your kind is weak, fragile. You will fall, just as all others have. Ryan smirked, refusing to show fear. Maybe, but we don't go down easy. With a roar, Ryan launched himself at Vrax, tackling the alien commander to the ground. The two grappled fiercely, each trying to gain the upper hand. Finally, Ryan managed to jam the barrel of his weapon into a crack in Vrax's armor and pulled the trigger. The alien let out a guttural scream as the plasma burned through his exoskeleton, leaving him writhing in pain. Core's ready, one of the pilots shouted. Let's move! Ryan scrambled to his feet and joined the others as they sprinted toward the exit. Behind them, the explosives detonated, engulfing the core chamber in a blinding explosion of light and heat. The shockwave rippled through the ship, causing alarms to blare and systems to fail. Outside, the remaining human fighters regrouped and prepared for the worst. As the Krylos ship began to list and drift, its once mighty presence reduced to a smoking wreck, cheers erupted from the colony below. Against all odds, humanity had won. But as Ryan looked back at the damaged ship, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The Krylos may have been defeated, but the galaxy was vast and full of unknown threats. Still, one thing was certain: humanity would face them head-on, unyielding and unstoppable. The Krylos ship groaned and shuddered as its core destabilized, spewing clouds of smoke and debris into the cold void of space. The once mighty vessel listed to one side, its weapons silent and its hull scorched from the explosions inside. Below, on the surface of Proxima Centauri b, the colonists watched in awe as the massive craft began to break apart. For a moment, it seemed like the nightmare was over. But Ryan Brooks knew better. As he and his team made their way back to the colony, in their battered fighters, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something still wasn't right. General Vrax had been arrogant, cruel, and dangerous, but he hadn't struck Ryan as someone who would give up so easily. Even as the alien commander lay defeated in the core chamber, Ryan had seen a flicker of defiance in his eyes. It was the kind of look that said, "This isn't over." When the fighters touched down outside the colony's main dome, the survivors erupted into cheers. Civilians poured out of the domes, hugging the returning pilots and shouting words of gratitude. Commander Alex Carter stood at the front of the crowd, his face grim despite the victory. He clapped Ryan on the shoulder as he stepped out of his cockpit. "You did good," Alex said, his voice low but sincere. "But don't let your guard down yet." Ryan nodded, brushing off the praise. "I know. Something about this doesn't feel finished." Inside the control room, Dr. Lisa Monroe was already analyzing the data from the Krylos ship. Her tablet displayed streams of information, much of it scrambled or incomplete due to the damage inflicted during the battle. Still, she pieced together enough to form a clearer picture of what had happened and what might come next. "The core is completely destroyed," Lisa explained to Alex and Ryan as they joined her. "Without it, the ship can't function. But I'm picking up faint signals coming from parts of the wreckage. Some systems are still active." "What kind of systems?" Alex asked, frowning. "Escape pods," Lisa replied. "And life support modules. Whoever survived the explosion could be regrouping." Ryan cursed under his breath. "So they're not done?" "No," Lisa said, shaking her head. "But they're weakened. If we act quickly, we can finish this." Alex turned to Ryan. "Brooks, take a team and scout the area around the crash site. Look for any signs of survivors. If you find them, neutralize the threat or capture them if possible." Ryan didn't argue. He trusted Lisa's instincts, and he knew Alex was right. Leaving even a single enemy alive could mean disaster later. Gathering a small group of volunteers, including Sarah Meyer and Jake Miller, Ryan set out toward the wreckage of the Krylos ship. The crash site was a scene of devastation. Pieces of the alien vessel were scattered across the barren landscape, some still glowing with residual energy. Smoke curled into the sky, carried by the thin wind that swept across the planet. Ryan and his team moved cautiously, their weapons drawn and their eyes scanning for movement. "Spread out," Ryan instructed. "Stay alert. If anyone sees anything, call it in immediately." The team fanned out, searching the debris for any sign of life. At first, it seemed like the entire crew of the Krylos ship had perished in the explosion. But then Sarah spotted something, a faint glow emanating from beneath a large chunk of wreckage. She signaled to Ryan, who motioned for the others to follow. Beneath the twisted metal, they found an escape pod partially buried in the ground. The hatch was sealed shut, but the lights inside indicated that it was still operational. Ryan approached cautiously, his weapon trained on the pod. "Could be a trap," Jake whispered, his voice tense. "Or our chance to end this," Ryan replied. "Stand back." Using a plasma cutter salvaged from the Krylos drones, Ryan carefully cut through the hatch. With a hiss, the door swung open, revealing General Vrax inside. The alien commander was injured, his exoskeleton cracked and charred, but his eyes burned with fury. Despite his condition, he tried to lunge at Ryan, only to collapse weakly onto the ground. "You think this changes anything?" Vrax spat, his voice hoarse but venomous. "You cannot stop the Krylos Empire. We will return, stronger than before." Ryan raised his weapon, aiming it squarely at Vrax's head. "Not today, you won't." Before he could pull the trigger, Lisa's voice crackled over the comms. "Ryan, wait! Don't kill him!" Ryan hesitated, glaring at Vrax. "Why not? He's a threat." "He's also a source of information," Lisa replied urgently. "If we interrogate him, we might learn more about the Krylos, how they operate, where they came from." That knowledge could save us in the future. Ryan lowered his weapon reluctantly. Fine. But if he tries anything, I won't. Alex interrupted, stepping forward. We'll secure him, no risks. With Vrax subdued and taken back to the colony, the mood shifted slightly. The immediate danger had passed, but the presence of the alien commander served as a stark reminder that humanity's fight was far from over. In the medical bay, Dr. Emily Ross tended to Vrax's injuries while keeping him restrained. Though, battered and broken, the alien remained defiant, refusing to speak unless provoked. That evening, the colonists gathered in the main dome to celebrate their hard-won victory. Food and drinks were shared, and stories of bravery were told. But beneath the surface, there was an unspoken understanding. This was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing against overwhelming odds. But the galaxy was vast and filled with unknown dangers. Commander Alex Carter addressed the crowd, his voice steady and commanding. Today, we showed the universe that humanity will not back down. We fought for our survival and we won. But let this be a lesson. We cannot afford to be complacent. Out there, beyond our skies, there are forces that see us as weak. They underestimate us, and that is our greatest advantage. He paused, letting his words sink in. From this day forward, we must remain vigilant. We must strengthen our defenses, improve our technology, and prepare for whatever comes next. Because one thing is certain, humanity's journey into the stars has only just begun. The crowd erupted into applause, their spirits lifted by Alex's words. Among them, Ryan stood quietly, his mind racing. He felt a surge of pride in what they had accomplished, but he also knew the cost of their victory. Lives had been lost, and the colony was scarred by the battle. Yet, amidst the destruction, something remarkable had emerged. Unity. The colonists had come together, not just as individuals, but as a community willing to fight for each other and for the future of humanity. Later that night, Ryan climbed to the top of one of the domes, staring out at the alien horizon. The wreckage of the Krylos ship glowed faintly in the distance, a testament to their resilience. Somewhere out there, other civilizations existed, some friendly, others hostile. Humanity had taken its first step onto the galactic stage, and it was clear that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. But as Ryan looked up at the stars, he felt a sense of determination settle over him. Whatever came next, humanity would face it together, and they would never let anyone or anything take their place among the stars. In the days that followed, work began on rebuilding the colony. Engineers repaired damaged structures, scientists studied the salvaged Krylos technology, and soldiers fortified the perimeter. Meanwhile, Lisa and Alex worked tirelessly to extract information from Vrax, using a combination of diplomacy and psychological tactics to break through his resistance. Finally, after hours of interrogation, Vrax relented. "You have no idea what you've done," he snarled, his voice dripping with contempt. "By defying us, you've marked yourselves as enemies of the Krylos Empire. Others will come, not just my people, but others who fear your potential. You cannot win." Alex leaned closer, his expression calm but firm. "Maybe not, but we won't go down without a fight. Tell that to whoever comes next." Vrax fell silent, his defiance replaced by a grudging respect. Humanity was unpredictable, relentless, and resourceful. Perhaps Zyler's warning had been right all along. As the colony continued to rebuild, the message sent days earlier echoed in everyone's minds. "Do not assault the humans. They will never let you go." It was a warning, yes, but also a promise. A promise that humanity would stand tall, no matter the odds. And as the stars twinkled above Proxima Centauri b, it was clear that humanity's story in the cosmos was only just beginning. The colony on Proxima Centauri b slowly came back to life in the days following the battle. The scars of the Krylos attack were still visible, charred domes, broken equipment, and sections of the perimeter that remained in disrepair. But there was a new energy among the colonists. They had faced an alien threat head-on and emerged victorious. It wasn't just a win for survival. It was proof that humanity could hold its own against even the most advanced enemies. Commander Alex Carter stood at the edge of the main dome's observation deck, gazing out at the wreckage of the Krylos ship. The massive vessel was now little more than a heap of twisted metal and glowing debris scattered across the barren landscape. Its destruction symbolized something greater: humanity's refusal to bow to fear or intimidation. Beside him, Dr. Lisa Monroe adjusted her glasses as she reviewed data collected from the crash site. "We've salvaged what we can," Lisa said, holding up her tablet. "Their technology is far beyond ours, but with time, we might be able to adapt some of it." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "Good. Every advantage counts. If another species decides to follow the Krylos example, we'll need every edge we can get." Lisa hesitated before speaking again. "Do you think Vrax was telling the truth about others coming?" Alex didn't answer right away. He turned, his gaze toward the stars, their distant light flickering faintly against the blackness of space. "I don't know, but I do know this. If they come, they'll find us ready." Inside the medical bay, General Vrax sat restrained in a containment unit, his injuries treated just enough to keep him alive. His exoskeleton gleamed dully under the harsh lights, and his glowing eyes darted around the room, searching for weaknesses. Despite his captivity, he radiated defiance, refusing to acknowledge defeat. Dr. Emily Ross approached the containment unit cautiously, her expression calm but firm. She carried a tray of tools, though none were intended for further treatment. Instead, she began attaching sensors to the walls of the unit, monitoring Vrax's vital signs and neural activity. "You're wasting your time," Vrax growled, his voice low and guttural. "No amount of study will prepare you for what's coming." Emily ignored him, focusing instead on her work. She had heard his threats before, and while they unnerved her, she refused to let them shake her resolve. Humanity had survived worse than threats. It had survived action. Later that evening, Alex and Lisa returned to interrogate Vrax one final time. They brought recordings of the battle, footage of the damaged Krylos ship, and images of the colony rebuilding itself. When they played the recordings for Vrax, his mandibles clicked angrily, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. "You see?" Alex said, leaning closer to the containment unit. "This is what happens when someone underestimates us. Tell your people that, tell everyone who hears about this. Humanity doesn't back down." Vrax sneered, though there was less venom in his tone now. "You think this changes anything? You are small, fragile, a single spark in the endless void." "Maybe," Alex admitted, "but sparks have a way of starting fires." With that, Alex signaled for the team to begin preparations for Vrax's release. They loaded him into a specially designed escape pod equipped with a beacon that would transmit his location to any nearby Krylos ships. Before sealing the hatch, Alex addressed Vrax one last time. "Go back to your empire," Alex said, his voice cold but steady. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them not to test us again." The pod launched into the sky, leaving behind a trail of light as it disappeared into orbit. Whether Vrax would honor their terms or seek revenge remained uncertain, but the message was clear. Humanity would fight to protect itself, and it wouldn't hesitate to strike back. As the colony continued its recovery efforts, the colonists worked tirelessly to fortify their defenses. Using salvaged Krylos technology, engineers upgraded the colony's weapons systems and communication arrays. Soldiers trained harder than ever, preparing for the possibility of another attack. Even civilians pitched in, learning basic survival skills and assisting with repairs. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ryan Brooks climbed to the top of the tallest dome. He sat cross-legged, staring out at the alien landscape, bathed in twilight. Sarah joined him after a few minutes, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You okay?" she asked, handing him one of the cups. Ryan took a sip, letting the warmth spread through him. "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "Everything," Ryan replied, gesturing vaguely at the horizon. "We did good out there. Better than anyone expected. But it feels like this is just the start." There's so much out there we don't understand. Sarah nodded, sitting beside him. That's true. But we've got each other. And we've got Earth backing us up. Whatever comes, next we'll handle it. Ryan smiled faintly. Yeah, we will. Back in the control room, Lisa finalized a transmission to Earth. It contained detailed reports of the battle, analysis of the Krylos technology, and recommendations for future colonies. More importantly, it included a recording of the entire event, from the initial warning to the destruction of the Krylos ship. The message ended with Commander Alex Carter addressing the camera directly. To whoever is listening, Alex said, his voice strong and unwavering. This is Commander Alex Carter of the Proxima Centauri B colony. Today we faced an alien force that sought to destroy us. They underestimated us and they paid the price. To those who wish to make peace, we extend our hand. To those who wish to harm us, know this: humanity will not yield. We will defend ourselves no matter the cost. This is our home now and we will never let it go. The transmission was broadcast across multiple frequencies, ensuring it reached Earth and any other civilizations within range. Within hours, responses began pouring in. Messages of support from Earth, inquiries from scientists eager to study the Krylos tech, and even cautious greetings from unknown sources in deep space. Among the messages was a reply from Xyler, the scout who had first warned humanity. It read simply, "Well done. Perhaps my people misjudged yours." Weeks passed and the colony thrived. New structures replaced the old ones, stronger and more resilient. The colonists grew closer, bonded by their shared experience. Even the children, who had been sheltered during the battle, began exploring the outskirts of the settlement, marveling at the strange beauty of their new world. One night, as the colony celebrated its resilience with music, laughter, and stories of the battle, Alex stood apart from the crowd. He watched the festivities with quiet pride, knowing how far they had come. Lisa joined him, holding 2 drinks. "You look like you're thinking too much," she teased, handing him a cup. Alex chuckled. "Just wondering what's next. Out there, I mean." He nodded toward the stars. Lisa followed his gaze, her expression thoughtful. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together. That's what makes us human." Alex raised his cup in agreement. "To humanity, then." "To humanity," Lisa echoed, clinking her cup against his. As the celebration continued, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity had taken its place among the cosmos, not as conquerors or victims, but as survivors. And as long as they stood united, nothing, not the Krylos, not the vast emptiness of space, not even the unknown, could stop them. Far above the planet, the beacon on Vrax's escape pod blinked steadily, sending its signal across the galaxy. Somewhere, someone was listening, and somewhere else humanity waited, ready to meet whatever challenges lay ahead.